I'm Agent Phil Coulson with the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division.
That's quite a mouthful.
I know. We're working on it.
Wait, working on what? Because according to Iron Man, S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't even have its name yet. But according to Captain America the First Avenger, Howard Stark helped found S.H.I.E.L.D. over 50 years earlier. So which is it? Was S.H.I.E.L.D. a brand new organization, or had it existed for decades? Because both can't be true. Or can they? Roll the intro. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Headcanon Fodder. I'm your resident Headcase. Today's episode is going to be a little different. This is the first installment of what I'm calling a Headcanon Band-Aid. Sometimes a piece of lore deserves a 20-minute investigation with evidence boards, maps, and enough research to concern my friends and family. Other times, there's just a tiny continuity splinter that refuses to leave your brain alone. And this is one of those. So let's slap a Band-Aid on it. The Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, or as everyone else knows it, S.H.I.E.L.D. Today, S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of the defining organizations of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Go back to the very first MCU movie, Iron Man, and something strange happens. Throughout the movie, Agent Coulson repeatedly introduces himself as representing the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. It's even made fun of for being a mouthful, and Coulson simply just says, "We're working on it." Then, only at the very end of the movie, does he say, "Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D."
The Strategic Homeland and
Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
Watching Iron Man in 2008, I think audiences were meant to assume one of two things. Either S.H.I.E.L.D. itself was relatively new, or someone had only recently decided that maybe this government agency needed a better name. Either explanation works, until the rest of the MCU happens.
You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
As Marvel expanded its timeline, we learned that Howard Stark was one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s founding members. Captain America establishes S.H.I.E.L.D. growing out of the Strategic Scientific Reserve after World War II. Iron Man 2 reinforces that, Ant-Man reinforces it, and Captain Marvel shows S.H.I.E.L.D. operating in the 1990s. So clearly, S.H.I.E.L.D. existed decades before Tony Stark ever built the Mark I suit, which creates two problems. First, if S.H.I.E.L.D. already existed, why does Coulson act like the name is brand new? Second, how does Tony Stark, Howard Stark's own son, seemingly know almost nothing about it? Before continuing, I do want to acknowledge one thing. Unfortunately, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. appears to occupy a strange place in Marvel canon. Despite my love for that show, Marvel Studios has never fully folded it into the greater MCU the way it recently has with shows like Daredevil or The Defenders. So for today's discussion, I'm sticking strictly to the MCU films, as painful as that may be. So here's my headcanon Band-Aid. I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. became S.H.I.E.L.D. after Iron Man. I think S.H.I.E.L.D. had always been S.H.I.E.L.D. They just never wanted anyone remembering it. Think about it. The Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. That's not a name. That's camouflage. It's exactly the kind of painfully bureaucratic government title that most people would hear once, forget immediately, and never think about again. Honestly, how many of you can tell me what those letters mean right now after just hearing them? S H I E L D. Not so easy, is it? I believe S.H.I.E.L.D. spent decades operating much like a combination of an intelligence agency and a global black ops organization. Its existence wasn't completely secret. If someone dug deep enough through government paperwork, they'd find references to the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. Howard Stark probably had hundreds of government affiliations throughout his career. One more absurdly long agency name wouldn't exactly stand out. most people would assume it was just another forgettable federal department. Meanwhile, the real power S.H.I.E.L.D. possessed remained hidden. Their international authority, their access to alien technology, their relationship with the World Security Council, that all stayed behind the curtain. Sure, there were probably conspiracy theorists insisting S.H.I.E.L.D. secretly controlled everything. Most people would have dismissed them right alongside the people claiming the moon landing was fake. So, why does everything change after Iron Man? Well, because Tony Stark broke the rules. When Tony publicly announces, I am Iron
Man.
Superheroes are no longer rumors. They're real. They're on television, and not just cartoons. They're impossible to hide. And suddenly governments around the world have a problem. The public wants to know somebody is in control. I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. chose to become public. Iron Man forced them into the spotlight. Instead of hiding behind an impossibly forgettable government title, they embraced the acronym. They put the logo on everything. Cars, equipment, facilities, helicarriers. They transformed from a shadow organization into a visible symbol of stability. Hopefully.
Hail Hydra.
Operations remained largely classified, but their existence became impossible to deny. And with that visibility, almost certainly came dramatically increased funding and political support, which also explains how we go from the relatively modest operations we see in Captain Marvel to flying aircraft carriers little over a decade later. So that's my headcanon Band-Aid. Not that S.H.I.E.L.D. suddenly came into existence, not that Nick Fury woke up one morning and thought, you know what? Acronyms are tight. Instead, S.H.I.E.L.D. always existed. The name always existed. The world just wasn't supposed to remember it. Until Iron Man made secrecy impossible. Does that make it true? Not necessarily. And that's where you come in. Because here at Headcanon Fodder, every theory ultimately comes down to one question. Headcanon or headcase? Does it fit the lore? Does it explain the mystery? Does it solve more problems than it creates? If so, we've got ourselves some headcanon. If not, well, at least just leave me with the Band-Aid for this one, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments. And more importantly, let me know what I missed. If there's a movie scene, Marvel reference book, or Kevin Feige interview that strengthens the theory, I want to hear it. And if there's something that completely destroys it, I definitely want to hear that too. The goal isn't to prove I'm right. The goal is to find the best explanation we can. Until next time, keep questioning canon, keep hunting for answers, and remember, just because it isn't official, doesn't mean it isn't good headcanon. I've been your resident Headcase, and this has been Headcanon Fodder.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.